what about rape? And I said, well, I was conceived in rape. First time I ever publicly said it. She looked me right in the face and said, you're an abomination who should not exist. The circumstances of my conception do not determine my worth as a human being. I have a right to life, and the sins of my father do not fall on me.
Thank you so much, everybody, for being here and being willing to share your stories. I'd love to start on this side of the table to hear each of your connection to this issue of abortion.
My name is Kathleen, and when I was at the beginning of my junior year of college, I was 20 years old. I was locked out of my apartment. We didn't have cell phones back then, and I went to an acquaintance's place for safety to stay there. He said I could stay there. We got drunk. We went to the senior night on campus bar, and I couldn't get in because I wasn't 21. So he said, go back to his place. I could sleep in his bed, and he would go on the couch. And when he got back, he raped me. I didn't tell a soul. I was so mortified. At the time I was going to daily mass, I was close to Jesus. I just tried to wipe that memory from my mind. And a month later, I was nauseated all day, every day for a few days, and my roommate said, maybe you're pregnant, and I realized I probably was. The next morning I took a test, and it was positive, and my well-planned life flashed before me. But in the same moment, I knew that God had entrusted this beautiful life to me for whatever reason. And I was 90% sure I would choose adoption. So it's a long story, but I did choose the family. Open adoption was fairly unheard of, but my mother was adopted, and that really informed my adoption plan and what I wanted for my child. So I chose open adoption. I found the most incredible family on the other side of the country. Lots of miracles happened. We've always been in touch with each other, so much so that he moved out to where I live in the Bay Area for a job when he graduated college, and then we really got to know him for 2.5 years. He left California, and then my boys decided to go to the same college he went to in Florida, and they became really close. And at his wedding, he asked both of our boys to be 2 of his groomsmen, and I read the prayers of the faithful, and it said in the program, birth mother of Nathan. And he's helped our daughter as well with all of her computer things. So, and now they're expecting in May, their own baby. So that's our story.
Wow.
Yeah, a lot of beauty came out of a lot of darkness. So, and I never imagined when I looked at that pregnancy test that it could have turned out so beautifully, and continues to.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, my name is Liana. When I was 12 years old, I was walking and I was kidnapped by 2 men, and they took me. It wasn't for a ransom. They hit me, they raped me, and they left me for dead. And my family was not prepared for something like that. My mom came from domestic violence, so she didn't know how to handle that situation. And back then we had no internet, no phone. We didn't know anybody. So we didn't know where to ask for help or what to do. And nobody could really help me. What can you tell a kid who's only 12 years old that you're gonna overcome, that you are still valuable, that they cannot take away your dignity? But instead of that, I only hear that my life was ruined, that my life was destroyed, that nobody was gonna want me or care for me, especially because they cut my face. And when I was 12, I believed that they were right. So I wanted to take my life, and I tried to take my life. So I took all the medication they gave me, and I ended up at the hospital, and they told me that I was 13 weeks pregnant. And I didn't know, because I thought all the nauseous, all those feelings, it was from the rape. And so when they told me that I was pregnant, the only thing that crossed my mind was, I'm having a little person, I'm gonna have a baby, and this baby's only mine. But the doctor, he said, you don't have to live with the consequences. Abortion is legal, and you can get an abortion. The product will be a reminder all your life what you went through. So you don't have to live with this. And I was just thinking, but I need help. I need support.
Yeah.
Why is he telling me to get an abortion? Why would I kill my baby? So I just asked him, so if you had the abortion, can I go outside? I would not be afraid anymore to walk, to go outside? And he said, no. So if I had this abortion, will take away the nightmares? He said, no. And I asked him again, would this take away the rape? And he said, no. So I was just thinking, why did he want me to get an abortion if the abortion is not going to undo the rape? It's only going to create more trauma, and it's going to be like a double rape. And if I cannot live with the first one, how can I live having an abortion? And he said that my baby wasn't going to survive anyway because I was only 12 years old. So they did an ultrasound, but they never showed me my baby. And I didn't know that I can ask to see the ultrasound either. But they told me, can you hear the heartbeats? And when I hear my baby's heartbeat, I just knew that my baby deserved a better life than the one that I have. And just knowing that this little person was inside of me gave me hope. It gave me the light that I needed in the end of the tunnel. And she became the most wonderful gift I ever had in my life. I know nobody should conceive that way, but my baby didn't deserve the death penalty, and she was valuable. She was not a second-class citizen. She showed me that she was not a reminder at the rape. She was a reminder, a love, all the healing that I got from her, because she was the only person who told me she loved me and she needed me. Mm-hmm. And when she was only 4 years old, she said, Mommy, thank you for not giving me away, for keeping me. Thank you for giving me my life. That's when I realized that she was the one who gave me my life.
Oh, yeah.
So she has been the best gift that I ever had in my life and the greatest love.
My name is MJ. February 22nd, 1983, I was bringing groceries home. And a man followed me, and he was a serial rapist. And he was out on work release. And he dragged me down the hall and raped me. And the biggest thing was I thought he was going to kill me. But anyway, he left with a, "You're all right." And out he went, and he got arrested not long after my attack. I was, I think, his 14th and last victim, and he was in prison for rape. But he was out on work release just trolling neighborhoods. I was married before, and so was my husband, and my husband had a vasectomy in his first marriage. And oddly, he kept saying, "Have you had your period yet?" No, but I was just kind of naive. And eventually, he says, I think you should just, go see a doctor. And I was pregnant. My husband's initial reaction is, I think we should abort this baby. It wasn't, conceived in love. And I thought, oh no, I'm not having any more violence done to me. Mm-hmm. That was plenty. And my husband was coming into the church, to the Catholic Church. And we did go see a priest that we both trusted, and we decided we were going to have this baby, and we were praying for the rapist, and praying for the baby, and we just left with such a weight removed, and kind of determination, and our lives have been so beautiful since then. It's just, I feel guilty that things turned out so well for us and that we're so happy. And we got also just this lovely, lovely child that's just been a blessing every day. And her children have been so precious to us. So I hope I stop crying for the rest of this. That's about it, I think.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, my name is Ashley, and I was conceived in rape. I always knew that I was adopted, and knew a little bit of my story. My parents told me when I was very young. It wasn't really until I was in high school that I learned all the circumstances surrounding my conception and birth. We were driving down the road, and it reminds me of when you watch those movies when time kind of stands still, dramatic part in the movie and time stands still. Well, we were driving down the road, my mom and I, and something came on the radio about abortion, and I said, I can't imagine being raped and then finding out you were pregnant. I said, Mom, I don't know what I would do. And she so casually looked at me and said, well, honey, you were conceived in rape. Your birth mom was raped. And I think she thought she must have already told me that because she just said it so casually and nonchalantly. But in that moment, time stood still. Everything around me froze. I'll never forget that moment. And then quickly, shortly after, I heard this voice in the back of my head, telling me, you're a product of evil. You were never meant to be. And I struggled with that for years, truly, thinking something must be wrong with me because of how I was conceived. How could I ever achieve anything in my life? How could anything ever come out of my life that was good because of how I started? And I believed that for years. And it wasn't until I was in high school later, a few years later, that a friend of mine took me to church with her. And I learned truly who Jesus was. My parents believed in Jesus, but we didn't attend church. They believed, but we weren't believers, if that makes sense. And a dear friend of mine by the name of Sarah Saraki took me to a youth function, and I was saved that night. And it was that moment that I learned whose I was, not just who I was, but whose I was, who I belonged to. And the more and more I started learning about who Jesus was and who I was in him, I started to hear that little voice start to disappear. Years later, I was married to my high school sweetheart, and we decided we were going to grow our family. And we got pregnant really quickly, which was a blessing. We told all our family it was the 4th of July, and we told them we were pregnant, and I was so excited. And a week later, we were in the ER miscarrying that first child. And as I went home, I laid on the couch, kind of knees up in my chest, that fetal position, feeling as low as I possibly could be in that moment. And that voice came back. Do you really think you'd be able to have a child? Do you really think I'd let you have a child? And it was so crazy that, and because I can remember the words, do you think I would let you have a child? And I believed in that moment that, okay, what's going on? Who's talking to me? Why am I hearing these things? And I just started praying. And I just called out to God like I'd never called out to him before. And I literally felt these warm arms wrap around me and hold me and tell me you're mine. And I've got you. And so I rose up the next day and I stood on my own 2 feet and I looked at my husband and I said, we're going to get through this. We went to church, and many miscarriages later, we have a beautiful son and a beautiful daughter. And I've tried to reconnect with my birth mother, who I have found out now is deceased. So I could never thank her for the life that she did give me. She has a brother who I have connected with, which has been amazing, but she struggled with many things in her life. She never had any other children. And so I know that she was a believer, and so I pray that one day I can thank her in heaven and be reunited.
Thank you.
My name is Judah, and I was conceived after 8 men attacked my mother. And I say after because if anybody knows how conception works, women don't get pregnant right at that moment. And so I tell people I wasn't even at the scene of the crime when it occurred. So why should I have to pay for the crime of other people? I shouldn't be executed for being conceived that way. I always knew that I was adopted, but my parents had been lied to, and they were told that my mother had died giving birth. So as, I guess, not to let them know they had damaged merchandise, you know, because society has a really bad outlook on people conceived after rape. It's not correct, and I love having the opportunity that all of us can share the truth. Everybody hears that voice that you're not worth it, but for the conceived after rape, we hear it loud. I found my information for my adoption. The social worker reaches over the desk and says, if you're going to look for your mother, you need to know about the father. I never really thought about him. And so, okay, she leans over very rudely and says, your mother was raped. Like it was my fault. My mother, when I found her, she was in a nursing home in Alabama in a wheelchair. And I had thought that she was, she had brown eyes because that's what the records had said. And I have definitely blue eyes. And I was so afraid that I would look like the rapist. And I just didn't want to hurt her. I wanted to just thank her so much. And whether she rejected me or not didn't matter. I just wanted to thank her for my life. So I'm over there, I'm on my knees next to her, and I said, do you mind telling me how I was conceived? And that's when she said, I was walking home from watching a movie. I was a nanny. They couldn't come and pick me up. And I started walking home, and on a street corner in St. Louis, 8 men attacked me, beat me up, left me for dead. For 3 months, she didn't know she was pregnant, but at 3 months, she found out she was pregnant. Her parents wanted me dead.
Oh, wow.
She goes to the doctor. This was in 1956 when abortion was not legal. She goes to the doctor, and the doctor says, I'll take care of it. To which she said, oh my goodness, when my mom told me this, and listening to Leanna was just, like a replay of my own mother. So my mom, in her little Southern accent, she said, you will not take care of it because it is my baby.
Amen.
I started crying, and I put my head in her lap when she told me this, like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, like it was my fault. And she patted me and she said, honey, don't cry. I've forgiven those men, and look what God has done. He's brought you back to me.
Yeah.
God is faithful. And so for 7 years, we had a relationship together before she passed. And she told me that I was the reason she wanted to live.
My name is Mark, and I was conceived in rape. My mother had just graduated the 8th grade and went to a 4th of July party and left as the victim of rape and a mother. And I knew from very on, I was given up for adoption, was adopted by a Christian family. I knew very early on she was a 14-year-old girl. Never really thought about what that meant until I remember hearing somebody saying something, you know, dating a 15-year-old, 15 will get you 20, was, you know, you'll go to prison for 20 years for dating a 15-year-old, and it clicked in my head. I go, well, if 15 will get you that, what will 14 get you? Because I knew that's where I came from. And when I was 19, I met my biological mother. I've had a relationship with her since then. In 2018, when she got married, remarried, I walked her down the aisle at her wedding.
Oh, wow.
And I'm sorry, I'm a little bit clamped. Hearing these stories, it got me worked up to the point I'm having trouble. But I never told my story. As Lila knows, I'm the sound guy for the pro-life movement. I'm not the guy in front of the microphone making the speeches. I'm the guy behind making sure that people like Lila are heard. Or people like you giving your testimonies to make sure that you're heard. But when the Dobbs decision was leaked, I was at the Supreme Court working for Students for Life, and somebody on the other side brought up, what about rape?
Yeah.
And I said, well, I was conceived in rape. First time I ever publicly said it. That I was conceived in rape. Do I not have a right to live?
Amen.
She looked me right in the face and said, you're an abomination who should not exist.
Oh my gosh.
I'm so sorry.
I had never shared my story, ever.
Oh my gosh.
But I turned around and asked the lady with Students for Life, I said, can I borrow the microphone for a second? And I shared my story publicly for the very first time. And I ended that statement with what I always say now when I tell my story. The circumstances of my conception do not determine my worth as a human being. I have a right to life, as much as anyone else does. And the sins of my father do not fall on me.
Amen.
And so now I share my story, which I never did before. And I spoke with my biological mother yesterday. I did meet my biological father. I had a somewhat rocky relationship with him, but I wanted to know somewhat where I came from, genetically or familially. And he's been gone now for over 15 years. And when I first started sharing my story, I got very angry at him for what he had done. I'd never really confronted that part of it before because I knew it, but I didn't want to admit that that's what I came from.
Yeah.
Because that somehow in my mind made me less. Yeah. And if in my mind it makes me less, I can't imagine what it does in other people's minds. So I never told anyone until I was called an abomination. That was the day I started telling my story, and I'll continue to tell it as long as people will listen.
Amen.
I just wanted to say, my plan when I first found out I was pregnant, I told my parents, I told a couple good friends, but I was going to do what your mother did and go to a maternity home and keep it a secret. No one would ever know. I was supposed to go to Oxford University that spring semester, so I'll just say I'm studying abroad. And I had a great philosophy professor. I was a philosophy major, studying Thomas Aquinas, and now I'm in Dominican Lady. But, and he noticed something was wrong. I had really bad morning sickness, and he pulled me aside and he asked, and I told him that I was pregnant and what had happened. And he convinced me to share and to be a great pro-life example on campus. And share so that I could get the support from my friends, from my professors. And I really had to think about it. I had told the birth father, and he demanded that I get an abortion.
Of course.
He said he would commit suicide or move to Mexico if I didn't have an abortion. And I said, and I'm not usually like this, I said, well, then I will buy you the gun or the plane tickets. I am not killing this baby. And he kept hounding me. He kept calling me, saying, I can't afford child support. You have to get an abortion. And I finally just said, leave me alone. Even if I keep him and raise him myself, I don't want your money. You are not a father. Sign the papers when I send them. And he did, and he left me alone. And I'm so glad that I did get the support from my friends and my professors, and they didn't shun me like I thought they would. And I thought no one will ever marry me, right? Like I'm used goods, and I found the most incredible husband. And Nathan means a gift from God. So when you were talking about how you felt that evil voice, I pray that he never thought that or never felt that, because he is a gift from God. And even the whole experience, my life was pretty dreamy, it was pretty American, but then going through that made me stronger to find who I was. Choosing a family helped me realize what my values were.
Yes.
I was gonna be a millionaire CEO by 30, right? That's what we were told in the 80s.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, no, I'm gonna be a stay-at-home mom. If I want Nathan to be with his mother all the time,
Sure.
I need that for my own children if I ever have them. And I was. So you guys are gifts. Nathan is a gift. All of my children are gifts. If I have 3 kids now, if they ask me, will you be raped for me to have life? I would. Right? We would do anything for our children.
It's
anything
interesting
for our
about
babies.
the rape. There's so much guilt attached to the person who's raped. And it's not logical. You just feel guilty.
Right.
What did I do? What did I wear?
Yeah.
I shouldn't have done this. I won't tell anybody. And if you do tell anybody, they, well, I would have gotten raped because I would have never done that, or you were in the wrong place or the wrong time.
So much
and
judgment.
you just, you know, you kind of get a PSTD of going through it and going through it. And in a way, the baby is the best healing. They're so separate. In my life, they were. And the more my pregnancy went on, the rape was in the rearview mirror. I could care less about that. I was very focused. And so was my husband. And he was, you know, a counselor warned us, you know, this would be a place where it would be ripe for abuse, you know. And my husband just met her head on. He says, I know that. And there was never any, you know, he was so good with her, and he was, but the guilt, it seems like it just, the
It goes all the way
accuser.
around. I mean,
Yep.
you said you hope that he never feels lesser. Well, when you're having a bad day,
Yes.
or when you're in a dark spot and you're thinking about your life, that's definitely something that comes in.
Yeah.
It has to, because it is a part of who you are. So yeah, there's probably a time when they're having a bad day or when they're feeling bad about themselves or woe is me is going on, you're going to have that, well, and also I'm a piece of garbage because of this. You look for those reasons. Everybody looks for those reasons. We just have a little bit special extra reason why we feel bad about ourselves at those times.
It's not just so much guilt, so much as shame too.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, I live in a very rural town, and so speaking about abortion is not overly accepted, shall we say. So when I told people, when I told people I was coming here to talk to others, when I tell people that I'm going to share my story, you get mixed reviews.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when people ask me about my mom and dad, of course, I say it's my adoptive mom and dad. That's who my parents are. That's who my mom and dad. The other, my birth mother, who I never got to thank for giving me life. And by the way, thank you.
Thank all of you for keeping your
Yes.
children.
Thank you.
Yes.
Even though pressured and that feeling was there, thank you for valuing life enough to give your child life. Thank you. But even though I never got to say thank you to my birth mother, you know, there's still that shame feeling of there's still something wrong with me. I'm not quite good enough. There's something still wrong.
That's part of being a victim of rape, too.
Yes.
I must have a little something that he was drawn to me,
Yeah.
you know. And
Yes.
either I'm stupid or I'm guilty or I did something or I drank or I didn't drink, but you just kind of, you play that same
Blame
little
yourself.
game.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's Satan's MO.
Because the way society make you feel like you were so guilty, like you deserve it. What were you doing at that time? What were you wearing? You know, did you provoke them or what do you do? You know, and they make you feel like, yes, you're guilty and you're not valuable anymore. But even though they almost killed me, I will go through that again just to know my daughter. Because yes, nobody should be humiliated like that. Nobody. But it happens more than you think.
Oh,
Oh,
yes.
yes.
We just made people not to talk about it. You shouldn't talk about the rape. Just pretend it didn't happen.
That's right.
So if you don't talk about it, you never went through that. But I think it's the moment to talk about it because
Yeah.
they think it's just something isolated, and it's not. It happens to more people. Even my mom, she keeps telling us, "Oh, my dad used to force my mom." So I told my mom, "So you mean we were conceived and raped too?"
Yeah.
But yes, they could have killed me, and I had the best gift, my daughter, and she brought me so much joy, happiness, and love, and I will not change that day. I will not change it at all, because if I had to go through that just to know my daughter, I will definitely go through that again.
And that's such a story that needs to be heard because that's what the pro-choice side uses.
Yeah.
You know, that's what they tell people. Oh, you're always going to remember that. You can't look at that child because you're always going to be reminded of that incident. And they'll be a horrible person. I mean, that's the rapist child. No, I'm not a rapist child. I'm a child of God. Thank you very much.
And we're the most disposable. The very first thing, whenever anybody talks about exceptions, Rape,
Right.
incest in the life of the mother. Rape, incest in the life of the mother. It's always the first one.
Yeah.
We're always the children that get thrown away.
Yeah.
And
The
Satan always
sacrificial
paints it as
offering.
compassion.
Yes.
But you know, they say, what kind of DNA? Our DNA.
Yeah.
Right.
My blood.
Yeah.
It's in my body. It has my blood.
That's right.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of ladies, a lot of women, they will want to have a baby and they go and look for donor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they don't even ask who the father is,
Exactly.
what kind of DNA. They don't ask for anything. They just want to have a child.
Yeah.
So you love your child because you have your child inside of you and it's part of you, not because who the father is.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it's like I tell people, if you put my baby picture up against any other baby picture, and you put the two together, you can't tell which one was conceived and raped. Why? Because a child is a child.
Yeah,
The
that's-
ultrasounds all look the same.
They do.
Yes, I used to tell my daughter, her name is Jeanette, I used to tell her, you were not planned, but I always wanted you. I loved you. Ever since I knew that you were inside of me, I wanted you. I wanted you to be in my life, and I always care, and I always love her.
It's one of the things I love about my parents is my birth announcement. Because that you used to send out birth announcements to everybody, and they have a copy of mine that was my grandmother's that got back when she passed away. And because I was given up for adoption, my birth announcement was, I was not expected, I was selected.
Oh, I like
And that always,
That's nice.
you know, that made you feel special.
Special.
That you were chosen to be part of this family. You weren't just whatever we randomly got. We chose you to come into this family. And my family has 4 adopted children. My 2 sisters are biracial. I have an older brother, and then my mom and dad all of a sudden could finally have kids and had 3 kids in 4 years. And so we ended up with 7 of us, the store-boughts and the homegrowns, as we jokingly refer to ourselves. But you know, in our family, in my dad's eyes, there is no difference in his 7 children.
That's right.
And there is no difference in a child that was conceived in rape and a child who was born any other way. All of his children are his children. And he loves us that way.
Very much so.
I'm curious for this side of the table how you feel when you hear the stories of the women on this side of this table.
Very, very grateful. I just had my birthday on Sunday. I sent my mom her text every year. Thank you for giving me life, for choosing to let me live.
Yes.
I feel eternally grateful to every woman that I hear. I do the Silent No More testimonies at the end of the March for Life every year, and I hear these stories of the regret of abortion. So to hear your stories of choosing life, you know, yes, you have hurt from the rape, but you have the gift that is the child that came from that. And I'm just eternally grateful to each and every one of you for choosing life.
I just think you're brave.
Yeah.
I have a question.
brave.
Like, why doesn't society look at you guys as heroes?
Yeah.
Well, we've
Because
been
you
pretty silent.
overcame. You know, because
I haven't
somebody-
told this story for a
somebody
long
breaks
time.
a leg or they have one leg and they run a marathon. And, oh, hero. So you guys have risen above so much, not only with the physical, but with the emotional and for societal. And I don't know why they keep beating down the mothers and children of rape conception when seriously you should be put up as heroes. How strong must you be to go through not just the physical rape, but like you said, it's the emotional rape where you're constantly bombarded. You wanted it. Nobody wants that child. You couldn't have been raped if you want that baby. I worked with almost 500 females pregnant after rape from the age of, 8, and then they gave birth at 9. And I'm telling you, it's the same story all the time. They're beat up instead of lifted up and cared for. It's all the same. From the 8-year-old all the way to the 42-year-old, they all had the same story where nobody believed them. I got a question. Did you report your rape? You did.
Yes.
And what happened?
Nothing.
Thank you.
Absolutely
That's
nothing.
what always
And
happens.
The only help that they offered me was to have an abortion. And I wanted to go back to school and I couldn't because I grew up over 9 because I needed to take care of my baby.
Right.
And I didn't hear any kind of support at all. The only support is if you had an abortion,
Yeah.
but not if you wanted to keep my baby.
It's so backwards.
Did your parents accept your child afterwards? I know since you kept
My mom was
Jeanette.
separated from my dad. She ran away from him. She escaped from domestic violence to Los Angeles. And even now, she hasn't even healed. So, no, I had no help. But I saw this strong woman that was a hard worker and took care of her kids. So that was like a big example for me.
yeah.
That if my mom could do it, I could do it. I could raise one child.
Yeah.
Wow, that's great. MJ, I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
Kind of the same question. Did they accept your child? I mean, the general society, family?
Initially, I talked about it a lot because it's so on your mind. So, and we decided to raise Ann. My family was a little, I think, taken aback, especially because in that day, my mother was 44 when she had me, so she was quite a bit older.
Yeah.
And they didn't like to talk about stuff,
Right.
you know.
Right.
And we were kind of pressured, just don't ever say anything to Ann. You know, don't ever bring it up. And I rebelled against that. I thought, she needs to know. You know, it's not fair. I didn't want there to be secrets that there'd be cousins over here talking, well, you knew about Ann a little bit, you know, and I thought that'd be just like the worst possible thing for her. So I think they were a little embarrassed that I was sending out birth announcements, and kind of I let it be known, you know, that this is how she was conceived, and I didn't want it to be a secret, because I often thought too, when she grows up, she can talk to them and ask them for their perspective a little bit. And when I told her, she was about 12, but I remember when she was about 5, in kindergarten, they kind of talk about family trees, and the counselor had said, she's going to ask you a little bit about that because she's not going to be clear, and just be honest with her, but don't tell her much. And then the counselor says, when she's becoming a teenager and getting her growing up, then you probably need to be honest with her at that point and start telling her. Well, it was a great shock to her, but I still feel she needed to know that it would be better than, you know, you can't live a lie for your whole life.
Yeah. That's like people when they find out
Secrets.
they're adopted in their 30s.
Yeah.
Or, you know, it's a shock. I mean, we knew from birth that we were adopted.
Yes.
Also, we kept getting more kids. So the way we got kids was not the way most people got kids. You know, but I think you're right. The knowing early on, and for me, I kind of discovered these things on my own going forward. And then when I met my biological mother when I was 19, I found out, you know, more about the specific circumstances about how that all happened. And I wish I had known more early on.
Ashley, you said something earlier. You said you never got a chance to thank your mom.
So I was conceived and born in the state of Tennessee. And in the state of Tennessee, if your birth mother says that she conceived in rape or incest, something like that, your records are sealed, they're locked. So even though I was adopted also in the state of Tennessee, all of my information is either highly redacted or doesn't have information. Like, I don't know the time in which I was born. It was never on my birth certificate. So I requested that information from the state of Tennessee to try to find out who my birth mother was. I wanted to go to her and I wanted to tell her thank you. I didn't need another mom, I had a mom. I just wanted to say thanks. And so they have to request that information. They have to find her, request it, and then if she says okay, then they can provide that information. The very first time I requested, right before I got married, and she denied. And so number one, I knew she was alive. Number two, I knew that she knew I still was here. And number three, I felt that rejection all over.
Did you know at this point that you were conceived in rape?
I did. I knew that I had been, I was told second grade, right? I was very young when I was told that I was adopted. And so I dealt with that. My mom was an amazing woman and helped me deal with that. My dad was adopted by his grandparents, so he could relate a little bit. Finding out that I was conceived in rape was a whole, oh gosh, that threw me into such a tizzy. And when I finally was able to deal with that and said, I want to thank her, and then finding out that she said no, that was hard. And I prayed and I waited a few years and I requested again. And that's when it came back and said that she was deceased and could no longer. And you want to talk about guilt? I went the next year blaming myself for her death.
Oh my gosh.
Because I didn't know how she died. So I said, I came back into her life. I caused this. Something happened that caused her. Did she take her own life? What did I do? How did I mess up her life? Because I would never want to hurt her. I mean, she gave me my life. Because of her, I have an amazing husband. I have beautiful children. I have 2 beautiful children here on earth, and I have 7 in heaven waiting on me. I have a family that I could never get any other way because she was brave enough. And I can never thank her. And then when I found out she had died, I thought, gosh, what did I do? What did I do? And it was hard.
Yeah.
Did you ever find out the circumstances of her passing?
And I did find out it was a heart condition, so it had nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
I did find out she never had any other children.
I think she really loved you because if she didn't love you, she would abort you. But she wanted to make sure that you went with the family. I feel like they're so brave when they put the babies in they place them with the home, because I didn't have that courage. I needed my baby with me, but I'm sure somebody else could give her a better life. But when I told my daughter that I feel that I was very selfish for not placing her with the family, she cried and she said, all I wanted was with you. So that's why I feel like your moms really love you and care for you guys, because they wanted to make sure that you went with the right family.
Yeah.
They had that knowledge and the courage to do that, to place you with
And
somebody else.
she didn't get any support, obviously. So in spite of that, she went ahead and had you.
Well, and she waited until it was too late to be able to have an abortion before she even went home to tell.
She knew.
She knew.
Why did she wait so long?
We don't know, honestly.
Because
my
she knew.
She was going to have you. She was
Because she
determined.
knew. She knew your intrinsic value. She knew you were a child of God.
Here's a perspective for you. What if she couldn't face you for having placed you for adoption?
Yeah.
What
Yes.
if she went, like Leanna saying that she wanted her baby? Maybe she wanted you so badly, but her family didn't want her to have you. And so here she is. She's hearing all the devil talk to her too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And she's feeling guilty for having placed you for adoption.
Yeah.
Think about her side and not your fault.
Yeah.
That she's hurting because she couldn't face you.
The only reason I found my biological mother as early as I did was because when I petitioned the court, they went into the adoption agency and looked at the records. And the first thing on the top of the pile was, if he ever comes looking, give him any information, tell him how to find me. I want to know him.
Awesome.
That was the first thing I saw when I got my adoption records and opened it up. They opened it and that was the very first thing there.
And you have to remember that back then, open adoption wasn't a thing. Like, I was
no.
one of the first open adoptions.
Yeah.
And I did it because I didn't want to just hand my baby to an agent who gave it to whoever,
Yeah.
right? I needed to really interview the families and find the family. God sent me the family that I chose. Hundreds of people. I was a college girl. I got letters every day and pictures every day of people that wanted my baby, which shows you how much these
We are
babies
wanted.
are
Wanted.
Yes.
wanted. But I also knew I wanted him to know of me all of his life because my mother had been adopted. Didn't meet her birth mother till she was 32. And I wanted to know that he was doing okay. And it was so hard. I'm sure, it was so difficult for her to say goodbye to you.
I'm sure.
And place you. She probably didn't even get to hold you. It's different now, right? Thank God it's different now. But
She never knew if I was a boy
I
or a
cried
girl.
every night. She never knew what?
If I was a boy or a girl.
It's terrible. Even when I knew them, and I kept him for 6 days, and we baptized him on day 4, all together, I still cried every single night. I didn't tell anybody in the middle of the night until they asked me to go visit them for spring break. He was 10 months old. I thought that was crazy, but they begged and begged, and I went. And the minute they picked me up at the airport, and his sister was 6, she wrote me a card when they adopted him. Dear Miss Kathy, thank you for my baby brother.
Oh, wow.
And so when we drove into their neighborhood in a house, I'm a 20-year-old college student, right? A house
Yeah.
with a yard and a mom and a dad and a sister playing with him, I'm like, I did the right thing.
Yeah.
I made the right decision for him. And that was when I quit crying. So I was so glad that they begged me to go visit them.
Yeah.
And we've always had this beautiful relationship. And Barry is the father who adopted him, said it's always worked out so well because we put Christ and what's best for Nathan at the center of our relationship. So.
There's a narrative today that the people who are conceived in rape, if the mothers decide to choose life for them, and they should have the option to not choose life, but if they do choose life for them, then if they then were to place that child for adoption, it's additional traumas for the mother. In addition to the rape, the birth, now adoption is a trauma. I'm curious, this side of the table having experienced adoption, and obviously you having experienced placing a child for adoption, what you would say to that? Let me start with you.
He is the beauty that came out of darkness. He is what got me through. And I was raped twice in college. One time did not result in pregnancy, but that doesn't go away, right? It comes back from time to time, PTSD, as you said, whether there was a pregnancy or not. But for this one, like, he is like something good that came out of something so bad, right? It's healing. It's healing.
Can I say that my mother, we're all told, oh, you'll never be able to look at that child. So my mom was at a woman's home, Catholic Charities, and she wasn't supposed to get any pictures of me. She wasn't supposed to see me at all, but there was an older woman there that let her hold me when I was born. And then 3 months later, she sent a photo of me saying, your daughter's okay, she's been adopted. And so when I met my mom 48 years later, she had that photo in her hand. Tell me that moms can't stand to look at that child. How do you hold a picture and it still looked brand new, it wasn't messed up at all? 48 years. And she prayed 48 years that I would return to her. And she also put a letter to Catholic Charities, but they refused to let me know. So it's not like what people say.
No. My mother had a keepsake box. And every year on my birthday, her kids knew that was Mom's day and that she would look at that. And unfortunately, she had read somewhere that the majority of kids who find their biological parents do it in the first year after they turn 18. So on my 19th birthday, she had her final day. Have to put this away, have to move on. He's not going to come find me. A month later, I found her. So she was pretty raw at that very beginning when she told me that story about how that kind of played out. So that she cared for me every day of my life. And it was very interesting too, because even on the other side of the family, my biological father's family knew that I existed. They had paid a little bit of money to send my mother to the home for unwed mothers. They had helped out a little bit on that. But when I met my biological father's family, my grandmother took me into her bedroom. And above her bed, she has a 9-frame photo of her 9 children, 8 boys and 1 girl that happened to be the middle child, not the favorite or anything. But on the other wall in her bedroom, she had little pictures all the way along the wall, like 3 rows. Pictures of all of her grandchildren. And the very first photo in the very first frame, or the very first frame was just said, unknown boy, born April 6, 1971. Wow. So she prayed for me every day of my life as well. She knew that I existed. She didn't care about the how. I was still one of hers.
Wow. That's when I reconnected with my birth uncle, if you will.
Yeah.
I reached out to him through one of those DNA test things online, and he asked if I would call him. Like, I just had emailed him, and he goes, will you call me? And I called him, and he was in tears, and he said, I always wondered about you. I knew you existed.
Yeah.
It was so crazy.
Well, and the other thing too is when I did find I had my biological mother's father's name because he signed everything because she was 14. So when I got my adoption records, it was his name and then daughter of. So I didn't really know how to go looking for her, and I assumed she'd probably married, so her last name wouldn't be the same. And I saw his name, and I went and got a phone book at the library for Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and I called, and he was very hard of hearing from working in a machine shop for years. So I said, do you have a daughter named Cynthia? And he's like, hold on a second. Handed the phone off to my grandmother. And I said, hi, my name is Mark, and I was just wondering if you had a daughter named Cynthia. And she goes, this is Shane, isn't it? My birth name was Shane Adam Schmidt.
Wow.
She knew immediately who I was.
Oh, wow.
She's like, let me call Cynthia right now, get her on the phone.
And what's the Cynthia? Is that your mother's name?
Cynthia's my mother. And so within 15 minutes, I was on the phone with my biological mother. From the time I got the paperwork and found the phone book at the library, it was mere minutes to finding, and that they had been praying for me and wanting me to show up my whole life.
Gosh, what a wonderful story.
Yeah.
Yes.
They didn't care about how I came into this life. They cared that I was here.
You were wanted.
I was.
We're going to have one more person join us for the rest of our conversation.
Hi, Mom.
Can you introduce yourself and share your story?
Sure. I'm Ann Ferens, and I found out I was conceived from rape at the age of 12 when my mother, MJ, told me. And like some of the folks here, I kept it a secret, which turned almost rancid inside my heart. And the thoughts spiraled into I wasn't wanted, I was a mistake, I was not conceived in love. I didn't share any of these thoughts, so the truth wasn't revealed to me until I did share the fears and the thoughts that I had been having. So I kept them hidden from my parents too. I had a hard time as a teenager because to not think those terrible thoughts, I had to numb out. And alcohol and drugs and other terrible choices were the easiest things to do to keep myself distracted. So when they asked, are you okay? What's wrong? I'm fine. I'm fine. Yeah. I always told them I'm fine. Like, I'm fine, and inside I was not fine. I felt unworthy. I think now, subliminally we're hearing in our culture, we are the most unwanted.
Yes.
Even in the pro-life movement.
Yes.
Which is, even in college, I would kind of dabble into, am I pro-choice? Am I pro-life? Always pro-life. But then the pro-lifers would say, except in the cases of me. So I thought, so I'm not even wanted on the good side.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember feeling called to speak out about my story, like you, Mark. I was at a college. It was a rally to get kids out to vote. And it was a very liberal college and a very strong push for the liberal candidate. Right. And during that gathering, they were talking about we need the right to make the choice.
Right.
All women deserve health care. They deserve to make the choice that's right for their body, especially in the cases of rape. Double down. This is all of the abortions are happening to these women who are conceiving in rape. And I had not had a voice. I didn't have a voice at all, but I stood up in the crowd and said, not every case,
Yes.
not every baby deserves to die. I was conceived in rape, and everyone was just quiet, including the friends I came with. Like, they didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I was like possessed or something. And I remember the organization, the organizer, he was kind of like some B-list reality TV guy. And he just was like, rap, it was just over. Like, that was over.
Yeah.
No one knew how to respond to that. Right. I didn't either. And I never shared it really again until, God bless Lila and Live Action for making us human.
Yes, thank you.
And giving us a voice.
Yes.
A voice.
Yes, yes.
Oh, I just got chills.
Yes.
Not only to feel worthy, but valued, and like we can make a difference
Right.
from something that we I was so just ashamed to talk about.
Yeah.
And to hear my mom share what happened to her, I didn't know some of the details. I didn't know, I was there, but I wasn't there for the conversation between her and my father. And now I just know I was wanted. And it's so, that's all I wanted to hear. That's all I wanted.
Yeah.
I wanted to know that I was wanted. It wasn't a mistake. I wasn't a burden. I loved that she said we weren't going to keep it a secret.
Yeah.
Secrets are destructive.
Yeah. They're cancer.
And what's it like hearing your mom? I know you were in the back listening to her today. What was it like hearing her share her story?
It's hard to put it into words. I'm so proud of her. We have never shared publicly. I've never heard her share. I mean, outside of just between she and I, and even then we don't talk. We haven't talked about it in 30 years. So what is it like? It is uplifting. I feel proud. I feel grateful. I feel gratitude to my mom for letting me have a life. My son is here on spring break, so he's in the green room. So I feel grateful that she let him have a life.
Yeah.
Right.
What do you want the world to know about your feelings for your mom? What do you wish everybody could know?
Oh, I love her. I think she's a hero. The few times I've shared my story with my close friends, their first initial reaction is, "Your mom is so brave." God, your mom's a hero. I want to meet her. You know, most of them had met her already, but Mom, you were a hero before this didn't exist 41 years ago.
I think I can speak for the three of us. We're not heroic. We wanted to do the right thing, and
That's a true hero.
It's a
Heroes
great-
are the ones
Sorry.
who do the hard things
Yeah.
when the easy way
That
is
is-
easy.
there you
to
go.
do.
Definition
I just
of
feel
heroes.
it's grace and Holy Spirit.
Well, no one was putting you on a pedestal then. So you, I agree.
Yeah.
You did it behind the scenes without the accolades and
Right,
just out of love.
right.
MJ, is there anything that you would want to say, listening to Anne and just to the rest of the table here, about those women today who are being told it's best for you if you get pregnant after a rape to choose abortion, or even just, here's a great option for you, abortion, you should have this available to you?
Do not be afraid.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how this baby was conceived. Don't be afraid. Don't you think that too? There's nothing, you know, a lifetime of regret or just going along. Don't be afraid. God takes care of these things. And I don't want to get totally religious if women are maybe not in that sphere. I'm grateful that I had such a deep faith. But these things will work out if you just keep going. They all worked out.
Not
And
just,
your mothers, it works
Yeah.
out.
not just don't be afraid, but you are strong. You're
Yes.
strong.
Yes.
When they say you have to have an abortion, they're calling women weak.
Weak.
You can't do it. You can't handle it.
Right.
Yeah.
You are stronger than you think.
Yeah. Well, having an abortion won't unrape the woman.
Right.
No.
No.
It just makes it worse.
But this is so often in the pro-life movement, we run into that you're anti-women.
Yeah.
We're the ones who believe that women can get pregnant and have a child
Right.
and do the other things. The other side is the one saying that if you don't kill your child, you're never going to achieve anything in your life. And I think that is so just criminally wrong to tell people that they're weak and can't do things because they have children.
Our kids didn't destroy our lives.
No.
At all.
No.
Liana, I know you have a special story as well. Your beautiful daughter, I had the privilege of meeting her, I think a decade ago now, but she's not able to be with us today. What does it make you think of? How does it make you feel?
I wish she was here
yes.
physically.
Of course.
I know she's here, but in a different way.
Yeah.
But I know she's also my strength, and because of her, I'm the woman who I am today.
Yeah.
She told me, Mom, you could do anything you want.
Yeah.
And I know where she's at right now. If she used to take care of me when she was alive, I cannot imagine how she's taking care of me where she's at right now.
What's her name?
Jeanette. And Jeanette, I didn't know that at that time, but it means full of grace.
Oh.
Yeah, I just named her because one of my dolls was her name. She was just like my doll, you know, human that would cry when I didn't want to. But she was such a good baby, and I was always so proud of her. She was really, I think they knew that they came in a different way, and they're so special. But she knows she was always loved for all of us, my family. They love her so much, and they're grieving her as well. And she accomplished so many things. And she had her nonprofit as well. She was feeding the homeless. She was taking clothes to the women's shelters. And she used to tell me, this is my mission. This is why I came to this world.
Yeah.
So now I know she had a mission and a purpose in this life. She came in, and I know she's doing more things where she's at.
She would be here today
Yes,
if she was
definitely.
earthside, but she's out in heaven cheering you on, Liana. Beautiful
she would go to
daughter.
the abortion clinics to pray outside the clinics to tell people, my mom did it when she was only a kid, so you could do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
It just takes love. That's all we need, love.
It's such a blessing to have everybody. You know what your story is, but when you hear others, you know, it strengthens.
You're not alone.
Yeah.
You know, I've done this since 2003, and it's still emotional and it's still powerful. It's like refueling, you know, to hear everybody's story.
Yeah.
And we are wanted.
Yes, we are.
Thank you all so much for sharing your stories. It's such a blessing. Thank you.
I think the most impactful thing for me was the young lady who, at 12 years old, was violently raped and still had the strength and the character to choose to have her child.
My life was not destroyed because I got pregnant from rape. Beauty can come from darkness if you let it.